everybody, what's going on? My name is Steven, that is Christian, and welcome to the Abnormal Pictures Podcast, where today we're going to be talking... Why are you I thought you were frozen again, dude. What's going on over there?
I know.
Don't do that to me.
I'm trolling off the riff today.
God damn it. It's because he's sweaty, man. It's hot outside. It's sticky. But yeah, welcome everybody to another episode of the podcast. We are going to be talking about Supergirl today because somebody who actually does their homework, he went and saw it last night. And that guy is me. It's not that guy. I don't know what Christian's doing on his side, you know, having kids and a life and shit. That's not what we do around here. We watch superhero films. That's what I did last night after a grueling day at work. That being said, we'll do Supergirl. We'll probably talk about some of those Batman things for the animated, such as Absolute Batman getting a CG show confirmed, a cartoon, as well as the other, it was a triple header, like animated movie series, right? It was Knightfall, correct?
Batman Knightfall.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're going to start off with Supergirl, and we'll hop into those. I am first going to give my non-spoiler take, and if you guys follow us on Twitter, which you should... Link will be in the description below. I posted immediately after seeing this film last night a non-spoiler, just kind of bullet point of how I felt getting out of the theater. The very first thing that I thought about this movie was it is going to be a mid-purgatory type of movie. I'm rating this a 6 out of 10. It is not the worst movie of all time, as people would lead you to believe, but it's just a little bit above average for a superhero movie. Now, I've said before, in the last couple of podcasts, I have been really concerned with the fact that Supergirl was going to be the second theatrical release for the DCU. I thought it was a really weird choice, but I understand what James Gunn is trying to do because he's essentially doing a Superman trilogy. In this movie, we have David Cornsweet appear very minimally. However, he's in flashbacks of Kara getting to Earth. He's, showing her around and calling her when she's off-world in the introduction of the movie. So we do get to see him. And I wanted to first say, and this is like in every single review of this movie right now, the first thing people say is, I fucking love David Cornsweet as Superman. I just love that guy. Every time that he is on screen, he has that energy of Clark Kent. Like, he, to me, is Superman. He's gotten to that point already. He has the perfect way of expressing himself as kind of a geeky, nerdy, has no great social. He's clumsy. Even when he's Superman, but in the way that he's speaking. Because when Kara shows up to Earth, as we all know, she's speaking Kryptonian. So he can't speak Kryptonian in this, and he's trying to talk to her in English, and he's still just being adorable. He's just an adorable guy. I like that guy very much. So that is a number one highlight right there. Both David Cornsweet and Lobo, Jason Momoa, were really, really good in this movie. And I think everybody knew, as soon as Jason Momoa was cast for that role, you knew that was Lobo. And what we talked about before, Christian, where it's been like, we thought he's only going to be there 15, 20 minutes. That's really what he is in terms of total screen time. But he steals it every single time. He steals every scene that he's in. He has the most fun parts of the movie. Just seeing him going around on his flying motorcycle, laughing as he's dragging people behind him with the chain. It's just fun. It's very enjoyable to watch. So those are two of the standout highlights. Millie Alcock's performance was good. I didn't have any issues with her performance. She was able to convey what she was trying to convey. I'll get into that when we get into a spoiler section a bit more. There are some emotional beats in here that she performs very well. And if you know anything about Kara's background in any of her comics and her having to experience really the death of Krypton, because Clark didn't have to really deal with it. He was sent away as a baby, but she had to live with Kryptonians and experience some real heartbreak about her planet. You know that there's going to be some deep moments from her character, and Millie delivers on those. I genuinely did not have an issue with her performance for like the first 3/4 of the movie. The finale of this movie brings it down real hard for me. And the reason being, the CGI might be the worst thing that I've seen since the Snyderverse Justice League, the original one with that level bad CGI. The CGI and green screen pull you the fuck out of the movie in the final battle, the final arc. It is the most CG shit. If you've seen any of the trailers where you see the action in this little dirt environment, where it's almost Mad Maxy because of she's fighting the brigands who are they're almost Mad Max assassin type of characters, right? It is so awful to watch. And the thing is, in the first 3 quarters of the movie, they have really well shot scenes. Even with like you see her in space, you see her doing all the flying and crazy shit that you expect Supergirl to do, but it looks way better than the final quarter of this movie, and it really pulled me the fuck out. That was really the biggest issue that I had with it. Story-wise, it's again mid-purgatory. This is one of those movies similar to the second Black Panther movie where you're gonna go and watch it in theater and be like, oh, that's pretty cool, and you're never gonna watch it again. Like, I'm never going to go back and be like, oh man, let's rewatch Supergirl. No, it's one of those, you see it, I'm good, that's it. So that's why I put it at a 6. And Christian, I wanted to pose this question to you before we do get into spoilers. Do you think that DC has a real problem here putting asses into seats that aren't for Superman or Batman movies? How do we think that's going to pan out?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the state DC's been in for so long, even though they're doing stuff better than Marvel right now, and as much as it pains me to admit that after everything they did with New 52 and all that bullshit, DC had a rough go there for a little bit, and it turned a lot of people away. Your casual people that like go and see like these Avenger level movies, that's exactly what they are. They're casual people that like they'll enjoy these movies. DC hasn't reached that yet. Like the Justice League movie bombed. Like it didn't do great. And they were kind of like me, where it's like you like superhero movies, but you don't really go and see them. That's how I was with DC. I don't mind DC, but I'm not going to see a DC. I don't think I've ever seen a DC. Actually, that's a lie. I've seen one. I don't really go and see DC movies in theaters. I just wait till they're out streaming.
Yeah.
That's just me personally. Obviously, that's a whole different story because it's Batman. Come on. And then Superman, I wouldn't, he's not a box office grab like Batman is, but because he is Superman, he's been around for a long time. And he's one of those faces. He is going to draw some people to the seats, but like other DC characters, like if they made like a standalone, like trying to think of a DC character where like, say like a Green Lantern movie. If they made just a straight up Green Lantern movie, well, I guess they did make one, and look what
Yeah.
it did. It bombed. Granted, it definitely should have. Don't get me wrong, it definitely should have. But like people that were like Green Lantern, like they didn't really want to see that movie. The Flash standalone movie. Maybe if it was someone else besides Ezra Miller, more to seen it. But because Ezra Miller, he turned a lot of people away from that movie. Wonder. I'm trying to think of like recent DC movies, like if they got people in seats. The first Wonder Woman, it did decent, didn't it?
Yeah, so did Aquaman. The first ones of those movies did well.
Yeah, yeah. So like the sequels, people didn't go and see the sequels.
Yep.
I think what it was people were curious because we had never gotten a Woman movie. We've never gotten an Aquaman movie. So I think for that it was more curiosity, like, hey, what is this going to be like? And then they saw it and they're like, eh. Granted, didn't those sequels come out after the Justice League movie?
I believe the Aquaman sequel. I don't remember if Wonder Woman 84 did. I think the Aquaman sequel did, but that was buried under so much
Aquaman, yeah, it
Amber
did.
Heard controversy at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that whole shit was stupid. But yeah, so it's like DC definitely doesn't have the luxury that Marvel has. And granted, Marvel didn't have it at first either. but because of how well Iron Man was, how well Captain America and the first Thor did, because I've talked about this before, outside of like the first Iron Man movie, the second and third ones weren't good. The second Thor movie was horrible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hated that movie. Captain America is really the only one that had a pretty decent trilogy, but there were bad Marvel movies, but they set a foundation, so people kept seeing it. Plus, they had the Avengers in between that stuff, so people went and seen the Avengers. I think that's really what's holding DC back. Like, if they put together a good Justice League movie, they could be just right there with Marvel. But because they haven't done that, like Suicide Squad was another one where like it was a decent movie, but it wasn't enough to bring people back when the second Suicide Squad movie came to theaters.
Which is unfortunate because The Suicide Squad is a much better movie than the original Suicide Squad. It's a way better movie. Um, I saw something on
Yeah.
social media, and I think it relates very well to this topic. And that is post Avengers. It didn't really matter what the fuck that Marvel put out. They were putting out just, you could put out any movie that you wanted or any show or anything, and people were going to watch those, and they were printing money for everything. It didn't matter how good that those movies were
Yep.
that came post Avengers. That's the issue with DC, is that, yeah, obviously we're starting this new universe. Superman was, it was successful in its release, but then to go immediately to Supergirl instead of introducing any of the other Justice League level characters, a lot of people obviously begging for a Batman movie, but we knew we weren't going to get that until The Batman Part 2 is released. We knew that wasn't coming. But to not do any of like the big title characters, that was a really weird situation, right? And I understand, like I said,
Yeah.
James Gunn is trying to do his trilogy of Superman. That is what he's trying to do. He's doing Superman, Supergirl, Man of Tomorrow. Those are going to be the three. Obviously, we have Clayface in between Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow. That's going to be a little different. I actually, honest to God, think that it's going to perform better than Supergirl does. I really do. And just by seeing the trailer and the reaction of people after having seen the trailer, you really don't even have to market it too much. It's coming, I think, October, right? It should be around Halloween time. So you're going to have all the spooky vibes going on for that movie. And it's a body horror. It's going to do well, I think. We've seen success recently with things like Obsession or The Backrooms. These horror films are going crazy. And this is a passion project by the director, too. He stated so himself, right? That's why James Gunn brought him along to make that film. So we'll see how Clayface performs when that comes out. But I do want to delve into spoilers now. So right above my head, there will be a timestamp for when we are done talking spoilers for Supergirl. If you want to go click there in this podcast, if you care. A lot of people are probably going to wait to see this movie and don't really care too much about spoilers. But yeah, so here we go. I first want to start off with kind of the background lore, just to give the precedent of what the character is, and I actually have the names pulled up. I just wanted to make sure everything was correct here. So the story starts out essentially, we see Supergirl, and we've seen her in the trailers, where she's turned 23, and she's just getting drunk on Red Sun Planet. She's getting fucked up and partying, right? And we kind of understood that that was going to be her character in the beginning, just from what we've seen in the trailers, and at the end of Superman when she appears on Earth and talks to Clark and she's fucked up and all this. That's essentially what she's doing at the beginning of this film. Now, it cuts from her kind of partying and doing her stuff to this character, Ruth, who is a little girl who's with her mother and father, and basically her father is a weaponsmith, okay? And he makes really great weapons, and he fled and hid with his family in order to avoid people stealing the weapons that he created. Now, what happens is these people called the Brigands, which are the main villains of the film, led by Krem. Krem is the guy with all the little fucking dots in his face. He shows up, and the scene is really cool. He shows up to the place. He goes, hey, tell me where the weapons are. They go to give him the keys, and the little brother, or I guess the older brother of Ruth, has his headphones in her earbuds. He's playing music. He doesn't even know that they're there in the other room. He jumps out to like spook his little sister, and Krem whips around and hits him with a fucking axe in the back and kills the brother right off the rip, right in front of her. Turns around, the mother obviously freaks out, grabs a knife, and Krem just brutally murders these people, bro. Sets the house on fire, but they also blow up his ship, which is kind of the introduction of how we get to where he meets up with Kara. So the little girl, Ruth, survives. She takes the sword with her, and she's essentially going to this bar that's close with all these different bounty hunters and stuff like that, saying, hey, I will give you the money that my family had and the weapons. And she has a really cool sword that her dad made, and says, I'll give you this weapon if you can help me find so I can get revenge on Krem. And that's kind of the plot of how the story moves forward. Now, because Krem's ship was destroyed, Kara is posted up in a field. She's at this bar. There's some interaction, right? And then one of the guys tries to like steal the kid's sword, and she's like, well, I'm not going to let you do that type of shit. Even though she's messed up on a Red Sun planet, she still whoops the guy's ass. And then as a result of that, she leaves, goes back to her ship, passes out because she's all fucked up. And the girl, Ruth, follows her and is there in the next morning. This is when we get to John Wick point. Okay, this movie is essentially John Wick, Kara Danvers. Yeah, Danvers, Jesus. So what happens is, Krem goes to take the ship because he sees that the ship is left alone, right? They're off in a field talking. Crypto turns around as Krem is with his crew getting into the ship, and he goes to run and bite at him. Krem shoots him with a poison tip arrow, which essentially puts him... He has 3 days before the dog dies, bro. So she becomes John Wick in this movie, in which she is trying to get the antidote that Krem has. Her purpose for going and fighting these guys is to save Crypto. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when Crypto is sitting there suffering, I'm tearing up, bro. You can't do that to dogs, man. Especially not that dog. I love Crypto. But that's essentially the plot of the story. It delves into the background, too, of Kara's character and Krypton. It shows the destruction of Krypton, and her parents actually basically almost Brainiac conserved a city that is hovering in space. So Kara is younger than Clark, right? So the destruction of Krypton happens. She's not born yet. Clark, you can see his pod flying off. Everybody who is left as the core is being destroyed is running into the city where Kara's parents have created this force field that protects a city. And so this city survives. She's born into this remaining isolated city. And the big kicker is that as a result of the core exploding, it has released kryptonite. And so kryptonite poisons the ground and starts infecting the Kryptonians remaining on this on the city that they have established. So Kara's mom and her father are both sick. Her mom is bedridden, and she ends up dying, right? And Kara hasn't been affected by it yet, but her father creates a pod, because he's obviously brothers with Jor-El. He's Zor-El with Jor-El. He takes Clark's pod and creates those as a scheme to send Kara back, to send her to Earth, which is how she meets up with Superman, does all this stuff. And we get to see kind of the emotional beats, and that's what I wanted to touch on. It's really personal. It's really important that Millie had a great delivery of the role, because you're dealing with her planet. Like, the remaining people that are left are dying. Her mom and her dad are dying. It's really emotional. That's why I said the first 3/4 of this movie are really, really good. I actually really enjoyed it. Now, going into the final arc, we'll just skip ahead. So, Kara is finally able to locate the brigand. We've already seen Lobo at this point. I'm kind of skipping ahead. Basically, the brigands know that she is weak to a green sun, right? So they are on a planet that is rotated by a green and a yellow sun. So when they arrive and drop her off, the people that she's hitchhiking with, essentially, The Green Sun is there. She immediately passes out, but Ruth has followed her. She continues to follow her the whole movie and drags her to a cave. And, you know, Kara is sitting there almost dying. Ruth goes to get her water, gets kidnapped by the brigands, and then she's in a cell next to Lobo. She manages to get out by tricking the guards, right? She lets Lobo out, and Lobo goes and gets his motorcycle and fucks everything up, man. He gets out there. It's one of the coolest parts of the movie. He breaks out. You see Kara, the yellow sun comes back, it rotates, the green sun sets, the yellow comes back after she's had like flashbacks as she's sitting there paralyzed, about to die, but she's not really gonna die. She goes and she gets to the ship where the brigands are, and yeah, she starts to fight those same poison tips that were used on Crypto. Krem has now put kryptonite in there and has shot her with those. She's able to remove it. She gets healed by the yellow sun, but she's essentially saved by Lobo going fucking berserk. So Lobo gets out, starts blowing everything up. And then that's essentially what happens. Kara does her beatdown stuff. You see like the really cool shots that would be cool if the CGI wasn't ass, where she's flying around really fast and going crazy and beating the shit out of everything. And then the movie ends where she goes back to Earth after this whole adventure, and she has kind of made peace with the fact that she wants to stay on Earth and that to be her home, because realistically she's trying to find her home in the universe. That's why she starts off, she's all fucked up and just partying and going around. She's miserable because it's her birthday and then her planet was destroyed and she's been shipped to Earth and all this stuff, right? So she finds that she wants to be at home with Clark and make a home out of Metropolis, and that's where the story ends off, which of course will lead into Man of Tomorrow. So that's kind of the rough bit, the story there. Like I said, it's a 6 out of 10 movie for me. It has really cool parts. Lobo is fun. Millie does a good job in delivering those scenes where she has to show emotion, right? Obviously love Superman. Krem is a very forgettable type of character. He's almost reminiscent if you've played the Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor games. He's like when you have an orc that's like a leader of the other orcs. It's kind of how he plays the character. He's like, every time he's on screen, he's either fucking killing somebody, intimidating somebody, or eating food. And it's only that. But again, it's just going to be one of those kind of forgettable, I think, movies, which is not a great look for the second one in the DCU. So we're going to have to see how Clayface performs. I thought it was really interesting how quickly they swapped to shooting Man of Tomorrow. Like, they started shooting that really quickly before even Supergirl released, which means to me, I think James Gunn probably knew that this movie wasn't going to do well, but it's not a bad movie, you know? But that's my take on that. How do you feel?
I don't like them changing her origin.
Oh, really?
I'm not a fan of that. Because one of the huge conflicts, like, that they kind of had, like, it wasn't a huge conflict, but it was the fact that she was technically older than Superman, but because she went through, like, a time warp, she ended up being younger than him. I don't like that they changed that to where she's younger than him now and that there is a pocket of Krypton that survived. I'm not too fond of that. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you about this because I know you saw the movie. I heard some people try and say that this kind of they tried to give it Guardians of the Galaxy vibes
Yes.
in
Yes.
terms of like music scores. Yeah, I heard that and I'm like, well, I mean, that makes sense if you think about who's at the helm of DC right now. It's fucking James Gunn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, I don't think he had the decision in doing that, but yeah, we're talking because I was talking about it, because someone had said something to me about it at work, and she's like listening to like rock music and stuff like that, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. I mean, I'm cool with it. I get it. He's trying, like, maybe they're trying to capture stuff that they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy and bring more people in, because a good soundtrack will bring people into a movie, regardless of how it is. But yeah, from your review, I'm not a fan of the changing of her origins.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that at all.
Yeah, I will
Hope,
say,
hopefully it works out.
yeah, in regards to the comparison to Guardians, so at first you don't really see because like I said, she's out partying and doing all this stuff. She hijacks like a jukebox and is plugged in her shit and is playing music, and that's when she meets Ruth at that bar. However, later when you see her in the flashback of when she gets to Earth, she's having to deal with getting her powers, obviously being in a yellow sun that she's never been in a yellow sun before. So she puts the headphones on to silence
Yeah.
everything, and then she listens to music there, and then you kind
Mm,
of get a better understanding. But obviously we treat music as an escapism, which is what she's trying to do for a lot of this film, is escape the feelings and the
yeah.
thoughts of having dealt with her parents dying to kryptonite sickness, having to be sent away from her people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of. But I will say also too, in terms of the action is very reminiscent of what James Gunn tried to do with the third Guardians movie. When you have like the hallway fight sequence, that's what the
Okay.
final sequence of the movie is supposed to look like. The problem is it doesn't look nearly as good. It does the same slow-mo type of stuff where she punches, like, if you remember from Superman where he punches the guy and the tooth comes flying out, they have moments like that at the end.
Hmm.
But the problem is, first of all, the background setting looks real dog shit because there's nothing there. It's like a dirt planet, essentially, right? And they're riding around in
Yeah.
vehicles and kicking up dust, so she's flying in and out of the dust cloud and attacking people. The problem is it just doesn't look good. Like it would be cool if it looked good. I would probably put this at like I don't
Yeah.
know, a 7.5. It would bump it up a whole point if the CGI and green screen at the end wasn't so bad. That's the problem I have with it. Um, I don't know, man. I really the fact that it is not, it's underperforming Morbius from the weekend, like the launch release, is absurd to me. I'm sorry, but
Yeah. I think that's just one of the things too. The, DC and Marvel thing is, Marvel just, it has a more general popularity than DC does, especially when it comes to the movie. Ugh, I don't know why anyone ever seen any of those Sony Spider-Man movies.
yeah, Spider-Man without Spidey. I just it is real odd to me. I like I said, I get what James Gunn is trying to do. He's trying to do his own little trilogy. Hopefully, this third movie
Yeah,
with Man of Tomorrow is going to be great. I hope that they're investing the amount of money that they need to in the time. Maybe that's why they started shooting it earlier or really early, is because they want the
that
CGI
could
to look
be.
a lot better. Because Brainiac is going to be a big deal. That's a big deal character right there.
Yeah.
And the other
Well, I
draw
think too.
I was gonna say right before you go, the other drawback too is Lobo really doesn't have much of a point in the plot. Like he's just there to try and get people into seats. He's fun to watch, but he doesn't have a reason to be there. They insert him because one of the brigands has a bounty on his head, and that's why Lobo is there. That's it. But you go ahead. Sorry.
Like I said, I wonder if they're kind of jumping the gun on production is because they want to get, like, I think they want to get these movies out, and I think part of it, yeah, maybe it's because he expected Supergirl to underperform a little bit, but it could just also be they just want to get these movies out and really get the, DC universe going. Because I mean, at this point with Marvel, we had five movies.
yeah.
Something absurd. Like, we had one, pumping out one to two every year, So, granted, I hope he doesn't like get to the point where Marvel was, where they're just pumping stuff out to pump stuff out, which I don't think James Gunn is in that mindset. I do believe he wants to put out good things. I'm curious on how much of a hand, because I know he's kind of giving directors their freedom to do what they want with these characters, but I wonder how much he has a hand in it. Because like you said, there is some kind of Guardians of the Galaxy comparisons with Supergirl, and like I was being told. Since there is kind of those comparisons, you said that fight scene was reminiscent too. I wonder how much a hand he has in the process of making these movies.
Well, from what I understand, I thought, well, obviously Superman he directed, right? I thought that he was a partial director or something along the lines in Supergirl as well. I know that they had a main director. I don't remember what his name was. But I'm under the impression that, of course, for what he's trying to do is a trilogy essentially for Superman, he's directing Man of Tomorrow. So I would think he has a big hand in this movie. That would just be my thought process. Clayface is completely James Gunn free. There is no James Gunn really involved with Clayface, which is why it looks so different. And that's what I think he's trying to do but he wants this to be the flagship. He wants Superman to be the flagship of the DCU. And so they're trying to get those movies out as a way to do that. Obviously, you have Clayface in the middle here. I wouldn't be surprised if following Man of Tomorrow and The Batman Part 2, The Brave and the Bold comes out, or World's Finest. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two movies would be the next one coming after in the DCU. But they obviously haven't announced anything for that at this point. So.
All right, now we get to jump into both of our favorite, one of our top, like, I'd say probably our top five superheroes, and that's Batman.
Yeah.
Batman had a lot of news drop the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we'll start with the absolute because this is something that I brought up that I told you, I'm like, man, I'm worried that they're going to oversaturate absolute Batman and start pumping a bunch of absolute Batman stuff out. And dude, literally a couple weeks later, absolute Batman animated show, and they're doing CG. I heard the reason they're going with CG is because they want to get it out quicker. I don't know how animation projects work, so I can't touch on that. But yes, we're getting absolute Batman, and I'm glad they're doing it as an animated TV show because I I'm on the firm belief that with some things they're better off being animated because you can do more stuff with it.
Yes.
That's why I love X-Men 97 so much because while I love live action X-Men, you can do so much more with animation. So doing Absolute Batman as an animation is going to be awesome, especially when we get to see the Joker and just some of the characters that the Absolute does because some of their characters are so grotesque and it's awesome.
Yeah. When it comes to like the CG production, to me, it reminds me of Batman Ninja. That's the first thing that I thought of when they were talking about doing CG animation for this, in which I felt that Batman Ninja was actually pretty well put together. It was well animated. It has some cool stuff going on in there. And the thing is, I wouldn't have minded it being a grittier 2D animation. I wouldn't have minded that at all. CG, I think you can do a lot of cool shit, especially with the way that we've seen these rogues. Those models are going to be fucking terrifying, bro. Those are going to be terrifying models. I am excited for it, and I think this is really a funny thing because this had to have happened so recently where they're just like, oh my god, look at how popular this is. We need to do something with this. We need to encapsulate the hype while we can and turn this into something that we can produce. I'm not opposed to them making a show like this. I would estimate that it's going to be, especially being a CG type of deal, it'll probably be a couple of hour-long episodes, or maybe they'll just do 30-minute splits, and it's not going to be more than like 8 or 10 episodes. I would be very surprised. However, they just announced it. I'm sure they haven't written anything for it. They haven't had a director hired. They don't have anything for it. They probably just saw the success of the comics and realized, we got to do something now. So they had to announce that type of deal. On the other hand,
they were watching our podcast.
Yeah. On the other hand, we do know that they're doing Knightfall as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But obviously that one is already complete. It's going to be done basically with this announcement and the trailer coming out. They're going to put the final touches on it versus the Absolute. But it's really wild to me that we haven't even gotten to the conclusion of the Absolute comic run yet, or at least gotten far with the Batman version of it. The thing is, though,
Yeah.
Scott Snyder is going to be the one who, I think it's Scott Snyder. I think, right? The guy who does the comics. He is going to be heading the project, from what I've seen. It's Scott something or the other.
Okay. That's always good when, the head of the comics is also the head of the show. That means I trust them to do justice in that sense.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm excited for it. The thing is, the Absolute comics have been really good. Obviously, it's been successful for Batman. You had the Wonder Woman one that's done well. People do like the Superman one. I think it's kind of Martian Manhunter is probably the coolest one out of all of them because it's a completely different style than anything Martian Manhunter we've ever gotten before. And I think it's a really graphically put together. The art is wonderful in that comic. But the Batman story that they're doing for Absolute has been so popular, and it's just because we've seen Batman for years and years and years with the same rogues and the same type of stories and the same kind of... This is like cryptic horror creatures that he is fighting, and some of them are his friends.
Yeah.
We don't have a billionaire Bruce Wayne. We have some fucking poor guy who had his mom still, and he's friends in basically the hood with all these people. And he just chooses to go be a badass because he's a hero, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so I mean, I don't have a problem with them doing stuff for Absolute Batman. I would venture to say it's going to be a couple years before we even get close to them putting a release date on that project. So we'll see. But how about Knightfall? How do we feel about that?
Oh, so we kind of touched on this. Mando, who is voicing Bane, is also going to be playing Scorpion. That
Mm-hmm.
man is having himself a year. Imagine getting to play Scorpion and voice Bane in the same year. That's like a nerd's wet dream right there.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I'm super excited to see this movie. I don't think they have an exact release date yet, but they did show it at a film festival, so it's going to be this year for sure. I'm really excited. The Nightfall story is a real fun one. Um, I don't know how familiar people are with it, but basically, the synopsis is Bane releases all the villains from Arkham at once, and cue Batman.
Yep.
That's all you need to know.
I mean, we're gonna get the iconic break the bat. We're gonna get the
Yeah,
Azazel as Batman part, which
dude,
is so cool.
I'm very excited to see Azazel because I don't have we seen him in an animated adaptation yet?
No, we've
Besides,
only seen
like,
him in the video game, the Night trilogy.
yeah.
Yeah. Which, if you think about it,
So
really,
I'm very excited to see him.
the Arkham Knight, like the games itself, or the last one, what was it? What was the last one of the trilogy for the Arkham Knight series?
I
I
don't
forget.
because there's Arkham Asylum, Arkham.
The last
Was it
one,
Arkham Knight?
Arkham Knight. Yeah. Arkham
Yeah.
Knight. That is essentially what the plot is going to be. Of it, I mean, that was more of like the long Halloween type of deal because everything is happening in the same night and it's Scarecrow, not Bane. But it's gonna be the same type of concept.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, it's just very awesome because I don't know if people know this. Yes, Joker and Batman are like mortal enemies, but it's not the same as it is with Bane. Joker and Batman are kind of yin and yang where like they need each other to coexist. Bane just straight up wants to kill Batman.
Yeah.
Like he wants to destroy him mentally, physically. Bane is like hates the existence of Batman. He wants to destroy everything about him. Joker is not like that. Because when you think Batman, you think Joker. No, Bane is his arch nemesis.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of the interpretations of the character that we've seen outside of like the comics, Bane has always kind of been shown, except for like Tom Hardy's version, but he wasn't really a luchador. He was a part of the League of Assassins, which is a crazy retcon for the character in some aspects. But Bane he's
I am the darkness.
I was born molded by it. Yeah. Anyway, so he's always supposed to be an intellectual equal of Batman. That's how the character was written in the comics. He's
Yes.
supposed to be on that mental level. A lot of adaptations, he's just a big brute, which is not just what Bane is. Yes, he uses the venom. Yes, he is a big brute, and he can whoop the shit. And I saw some people complaining about this. Okay, you know how on the cover art for that run of the comics where the see Bane, he's like massive and crazy, but the actual panel, he's a lot smaller. I think the thing is, and they're doing this in the actual animated movie, you can see it when Michael Mando is doing the voice recording. He posted it onto social media. You can see how big Bane is when he is fighting Batman in that actual film. It makes sense. Because Bruce is like 6'8", fucking 300 pounds of muscle. You need him to be big for it to make sense when he's breaking his back. I'm sorry. I don't know why people are complaining about it.
So my thing too is I don't know how often this happens in the comics, but isn't like he usually like a genuinely normal sized guy until he pumps that venom and then he gets huge?
He's still huge. He's still a big guy.
He still is huge. Okay, I wasn't so sure because I'm not like I know a bit about Bane, but I haven't read a lot of the actual comics with him. I know about the Knightfall story. I've seen glimpses of it. I've never fully read it, but I know about it. That's why I kind of gave you guys a quick little synopsis because I fully haven't read it, but I know about it. So I wasn't sure. But yeah, Bane being bigger than Batman, it makes sense. Like if people are complaining about that, like find something else to complain about.
Yeah. I think the animation looks pretty cool. I like the style that they're going for with it. But yeah, that's the thing is, when you think about Bane being the intellectual equal of Batman, really the Venom is what is supposed to give him that kind of boost so he makes him more than the Bat. But then obviously Bruce has the willpower to overcome in the end. That's kind of how their relationship plays out as villain, a villain and a hero, right? So I think it's cool that we're going to get to see a good representation of the character. Tom Hardy was, for the character he was playing, he wasn't really Bane. He had the name of Bane. He wasn't Bane. You could have named him any other character. Or just made up an original character for the Nolan trilogy, and people would have had the same reaction. That being said, to see Bane look like Bane, to act like him, to be in Knightfall, to have good animation on top of it, I think it's going to be really good. And that's the thing. DC is always fucking killing it with this animated shit, but then you get Supergirl flopping in the fucking box office. You're like, what are you doing? Why, man? And that's how it's always been. They absolutely blow Marvel out of the water animation every time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But and it's just frustrating to me that that's always seeming to be the relationship, But Marvel completely dominates the box office. The fact that Supergirl came out this year, there was so much money for that movie in advertising, and you saw it everywhere. People were talking more about fucking leaks for Spider-Man or Doomsday than the trailers for Supergirl. That's how much it was mogged, and that sucks. It does suck. But, yeah.
Yeah. There's actually there's an ice cream shop around me promoting Supergirl. Like they had Supergirl themed ice cream. Like
Dairy Queen
like
had
the promotion for it was great.
Yeah, Dairy Queen had a full thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm just like, there was a ton invested into that in terms of advertising that, which is why it's like the fact that it made less than Morbius on its release weekend is just, wow, that's not good. But speaking of Michael Mando,
And then
you go ahead. You go ahead.
you go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, speaking of Michael Mando, and you brought him up. Obviously voicing Bane. Let's talk about Scorpion, because I know we had talked about the trailer. We talked a little bit about that. How about some of the new action that we've been seeing released, such as Michael Mando Scorpion knocking Peter up in the air when he has his winter garb and stuff like that? How do we feel about the action?
Well, I'm just gonna say, I told you this was not going to be their. I think that one where he's in the winter jacket, I think that's their first confrontation
Hmm.
because I think he still had the web shooters on in that scene. I'd have to go back and watch it, but
Yeah.
I think that's going to be their first one. But yes, the action in this Spider-Man movie is going to be top tier. But if anyone's seen the action in Shang-Chi, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so excited to see. I just sent you, and it was just blowing up on social media. Was he was basically doing Insomniac Spider-Man movement, fighting the guards? Because we see in the trailer where he's talking to the one guard and doing his little stretching, But we've seen now an action clip of him going and doing like the reverse backflip up the side of the building and webbing people and shit like that, and it looks really cool.
So we've talked a lot about the man spider. Watching that scene where he does like he's spinning and shooting webs, bro, something looks off about it. Something looks off about it. And I think that's he has multiple arms. Cause have you watched like how it comes out? Like something seems very off about that scene. Every time I've watched it, I'm like, something don't seem right about that. Cause I don't see his fucking hands moving. Like you see his hands, but they're like this. Like how the hell is he shooting webs like that? Dude, I'm more convinced about this man spider shit the more and more it goes on. But we're gonna stick to DC because there was another DC thing
Oh
announced
yeah,
as well.
yeah. Go.
Um, it was it was a long. So you know how we have like My Adventures with Superman?
Yes. Yeah.
They're they're doing something similar with Green Lantern. I think it's almost like the same title. I think it's like My Adventures with Green Lantern or something like that.
Hmm.
It's going to follow Hal Jordan training a younger Lantern.
Okay.
Uh, I I didn't read too much into it, but I saw that that was getting that was one of the things they announced the same day they announced the two Batman things was they announced another Green Lantern show,
Huh. I hadn't
obviously
seen that.
animated.
Yeah. And let me actually see.
Yeah.
So it's very odd to me that you're going to do lanterns with Hal Jordan being older and training a new lantern and then doing an animated one. You know?
This might be an Elseworld project. Why is that so hard for me to say? This might be one of those projects though.
Yeah. DC's My Adventures with Green Lantern.
Yeah.
It's set in the same universe as My Adventures of Superman, so it is in Elseworlds.
Okay.
And it's Jessica Cruz. There you go. You remember Jessica
That's what I
Cruz?
thought. It was,
Yeah.
yes.
Cool. Okay.
I
I,
read it and I didn't want to get that wrong, but I thought it was like him kind of training her essentially.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely hadn't seen anything about that. My Adventures with Superman, I don't know if you've watched any of it. I really enjoyed the first season. I haven't caught up with it. I thought it was really, really well done. It felt like a passion. And by the way, Jack Quaid is the guy who's voicing
Yep.
Superman, and he does a really good job because
Ooh, what a thought.
if people didn't say it, I wouldn't have even thought about it. To be honest with you, he just doesn't seem. It's like when we see Omni-Man and we're like, oh my god, that's J.K. Simmons. It's just not the same. I didn't even think it was Jack
Yeah.
Quaid until somebody told me or I saw it on social media. I'm like, oh, cool, good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, like I knew he voiced Superman. That I've yet to watch it. Eventually, I might give it a watch. You know how I feel about Superman, but eventually I might give it a watch. I do like Jack Quaid. He just got announced that he was going to be in something else too that I think was superhero related, but I don't remember what that was. So we won't touch on that.
Yeah, I don't know. The only other thing that I know that he was recently talked about in was the God of War Laufey game. He's the fucking cube.
He's playing a cube.
Yeah.
So did you see the trailer that literally shows behind the scenes and he's just in a
Yes.
giant fucking
It's
cube
a big wooden
that they like
fucking
taped
two
on
by
it?
fours on him. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, dude. Oh god. Yeah,
That I love that he's a nerd like us. It makes me happy.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like, if you want to go back a little bit with him being in The Boys, it's like he always seemed like he wanted the best for the show. Like anything that I've seen him in, he really seems to care about the shit that he's doing. He's one of the nepo babies that we appreciate. That's what I'll say. He's one of those that we're like, yes, we like this guy. You know?
Bro, he does photography in the Spider-Man games. Like, man, not like this guy.
Yeah. Um,
Oh,
I guess they had announced Starfire too. Something about Starfire, a show maybe.
did they
Oh,
not?
ooh. I'm just seeing it on the side. We can't. We don't have to delve into it because,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I actually followed DC that day because they released a bunch of stuff, and I guess I never followed DC on Facebook, so I like went and followed it, and I'm looking at all the stuff they announced, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, this gives us some content.
yeah, right. Since only one of us went to watch Supergirl, you had to go and see the other DC shit. Have a DC themed episode. Um, cool. So, what do we think moving forward? What would you do if you were James Gunn moving forward with the DCU? What do you think should be the next move following we know Man of Tomorrow is coming? What do you think we should do after
If
that?
if they want the DC to be successful and not just passion projects where they're just making movies that maybe it's one of those middling movies that like becomes like a cult classic. If they want to avoid that, they have to do Batman next. It
Hmm.
has to be Batman. You can't, I'm sorry, but you can't have a successful DC universe without Batman at this point. He is one of your flagship characters. He is arguably the top superhero ever. I
Yeah.
mean, it's him and Spider-Man fighting all the time for that top spot. So you have to do Batman. And like I alluded to earlier, if you want to set up a successful universe, you have to have a good Justice League movie. You just have to. Which, I mean, they have like the whatever they are with the Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, whatever the hell that team is. Is
Yeah.
that the Justice Society or whatever?
Something along
Like
those
they're
lines.
sort
Yeah.
of establishing them.
Hmm?
They can't make that their Justice League. They can't because they got a middling reaction when they did show up in the Superman movie. You know, Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl. Although Mr. Terrific got a lot of praise because he looked badass and
He was
he
cool.
was kind of a
Yeah.
scene stealer. But like, yeah, he was. You can't make that your flagship team in this DC universe. It has to be the Justice League. You have to establish Batman. And those are two of the most important. I almost want to say you got to establish the Flash too, because he's one of those flagship characters of the DC universe. Like, he is the lightning rod of hope and the DC. Like, I know Superman's, he's supposed to be that, but to me, Barry Allen is that lightning rod in the comics where he just brings joy to everyone. He's a genuine person. He almost has like that Spider-Man personality of the DC universe is kind of what I compare it to, where he's kind of like the heartbeat essentially of teams that he's on. Spider-Man was kind of the same way. I think Flash is someone you really have to establish if you want to take DC to the next level. Because, you have your Batman, you have your Superman. Who's that next character, you know?
Well, I think if you look at it in terms of like the animated Justice League, if you think back to those comics, or not the comic, the show, sorry. You right now they're establishing John Stewart. They have Hawkgirl. They have Superman.
Yep.
You are correct. They have to do something with Batman, and I think that Clayface, even though they're saying yes, it's in the DCU, I think there will be a tie. They're like, oh, it's just going to be completely isolated. It's going to be tied in. It has to be. There's no reason why you wouldn't include something alluding to Batman in the Clayface movie, knowing that he's going to be in the DCU. So that would make the most sense to me, is that they'll allude to that. The Batman Part 2 will come out. And then afterwards, oh, Oh. But yeah, you'll tie in Batman through Clayface. Then they'll put out the Batman Part 2. That'll probably be the last time, unless they do end up taking Battinson and putting him into the DCU, that we're gonna see Battinson for a long time, I would think.
Probably.
Yeah. So I would say they do that. We're gonna have to see how Lanterns performs. When does that come out? Do you know? I don't know when they're starting.
Yeah. Isn't it this year?
That is coming out. It is coming out this year.
They okay. They really have to do a good job with John Stewart for that's
Yeah.
going to be crucial for DC too. Like John Stewart has to be done well or they're fucked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in general, because Guy was received well, but it's Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner is
Yeah.
not the Green Lantern that we think of. You have Hal and you have John. Those are kind of the two guys that you think of when you think of Green Lantern characters. So we'll see how that goes. And it's supposed to come out in August, which I believe will be before Clayface. So that's when the first
Mm.
episode will drop. It's as far as what I'm seeing. Yeah. Well,
Oh, I guess we can talk about this week. We get X-Men 97 first three
oh
episodes.
yeah, yeah,
I'm very excited because it drops on a Wednesday and I believe I work morning that Wednesday, so I can come home and actually watch it. And my kids will be napping, so I can actually indulge in it as well. So
yeah.
I'm very excited because obviously I try keeping this a DC episode, but I can't help it. X-Men 97 is coming out. This has been a really good year for us because there has been a lot of content every month where there's just something new dropping, which is very exciting. We're close to July now, so we have Spider-Man
Yes.
coming out. X-Men 97 coming out, which I'm so excited for. I'm surprised they're dropping three episodes at once, but man, I'm excited.
Yeah, I did want to say we are in the end game now. We're in like the last month before Spider-Man comes out. But going to X-Men, we have a lot of X-Men related content that's going to be out this year, man.
Yes.
We're having 97 Doomsday, which is going to be hugely
Yeah,
X-Men, and then we're also getting the Wolverine game.
yeah.
Pretty good. It's a
Hmm.
good time for you.
Also, did you did you want to touch on them re-releasing the Endgame movie?
I don't see why they wouldn't do it. I know. I mean, how do you feel about it? I want to hear your opinion first.
So obviously, I know they're giving it like a slightly different title. They added like one word to it. To me, when I was reading the article that I sent you, this seems like they're trying to promote their new Infinity Vision or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And I think that's what they're trying to do with this movie. They said they're adding a few scenes. I personally don't think these scenes are going to affect the universe, but a lot of people have been mad with Marvel and everything and want them to admit that they messed up. How would they fix that? They would go back to Doomsday, which would be them admitting defeat, but that's fine. I'm okay with that because people have been complaining that Marvel doesn't want to admit any wrong. Well, how do you fix that with a movie? You can't unrelease a movie when it's out there. The best way to do it is to go back to really what people are saying is the last good thing that they've done and making a few little tweaks here and there. There's nothing groundbreaking that's going to be added to that, I don't think. Granted, we don't know what they're adding yet. To me, I think it's just going to be a few extra scenes, maybe an extended scene, and them trying to promote their Infinity Vision. I think that's what it's called.
yeah,
As I was reading through the article, they're trying to sell that to a lot of places right now. Um, I really think that's what it is. They're just trying to get you ready for Endgame and maybe adding a scene to tie into it, but I don't think it's going to be much. I'm curious on how it's going to release on like Disney. Because for people that don't want to go and see it in theaters, how are they going to release it on Disney? Are they just going to be like, oh, this is really just a deleted scene. Let's add this deleted scene. Because I don't know if you've gone through Disney before, but they usually have that where they have the extras and you can watch like deleted
Yeah,
scenes and stuff.
I would think that's what they'll do. Yeah.
So really, yeah, really, I think it's just a cash grab. But if there's actual new scenes that tie to Endgame, that's going to be, well, tie to Doomsday. It's going to be very intriguing, and it's going to be the white flag, like, hey, we fucked up, we're sorry, let's try and make this up to you. Because, like I said, you can't unrelease a movie. You know, once it's out there, it's out there. You can't do anything about it. You just have to admit, hey, we fucked up. We haven't been putting out good product, which they've been doing they even said, like, we're going to start pumping out content for the sakes of pumping out content, and we're going to try making actual good stuff. Hi, Cat.
Yeah, Pumpkin is here and now she's running away. I think the thing is
Wow.
with Doom or not Doomsday with Endgame, I think Marvel is at the point where they are waving the white flag. I think a lot of projects that they were
Yeah,
originally going to be pushing out, they had to slow down on, or we have indefinite things such as Blade is still fucking indefinite. Nobody knows when or if that's gonna
yeah,
happen anymore. But they've really taken a step back. We've talked about it before. I think that this is much more of, you're correct with the Infinity Vision. I completely forgot about them mentioning that, but it makes sense that they would try and push that because they're trying to get that into theaters. But that being said, I think they've already waved the white flag, and this is probably just one of those re-releases knowing the Doomsday is coming out and being like, hey, here's a reminder. It's been how many years, right? 2019, wasn't it? When Endgame was released. So it's
bro.
been
It's
7 years.
been almost,
Yeah.
I can't believe we're almost 10 years removed from Endgame. I saw that the other day and I almost shit my pants. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where it's at this point, and so I understand them releasing. It'll be in select theaters. It obviously won't be everywhere. Um,
yeah,
They might even, I don't know how, I haven't read the article for it. Maybe it'll just be places where they're doing the Infinity Vision. Maybe that'll be the only places that they're going to release it. That wouldn't surprise
yeah,
me. Yeah.
yeah. The article had said like there's like maybe it was more, but I thought it was like 3,200, not 3,200. Yeah, 3,200 theaters that like put in like requests for the Infinity Vision stuff.
Mm.
So we'll see how that goes. But like you said, it's because they're trying to promote like IMAX and Infinity Vision, essentially. That's what it is. And I think that's all it's going to be. They're going to get you ready for Endgame. They're going to use the last good movie that they've made. Because, there's no guarantees that the Spider-Man movie is going to be good.
Mm.
Like it could completely, but at this point, I'm convinced it's going to be a good movie at this point. But, I think this Endgame was a contingency plan if people don't go see the Spider-Man movie. Hey, let's put Endgame in theaters because people went and seen it and they love that movie.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, if you're going on pre-orders for tickets alone, the Spider-Man is not going to flop. But also, too, it's Sony and it's not MCU. Technically, it's
Yeah,
MCU, but it's not Marvel. They don't have the full rights, so I can understand them releasing something in theaters, waiting for Doomsday just to reiterate the kind of the story of how we got to this point. And they, instead of releasing anything else that's come out in that time span, because they haven't done a very, very good
yeah,
job, as you've said, yeah, in that frame of time. So, but I wouldn't read too much into it. We'll see about the deleted scenes. I'm sure they'll be immediately released. Like, people will see that stuff
oh
immediately on
yeah.
social media if there is anything new. So
Hmm.
I even if there
Shit.
was one near me, I probably wouldn't go and see it again because I have Disney Plus, so I could just watch the movie again if I wanted to.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was thinking about this too. When I saw Endgame, I'm pretty sure when I left the theater, there were spoilers out.
Oh yeah,
Like it
yeah.
happens that quickly.
Yeah, we're gonna see everything immediately from. It's a good thing both of us are seeing Spider-Man on that day, on the 30th, because
Yeah.
It's already almost all leaked onto the fucking internet except for Sadie Sink. Everything else is leaked. But her.
Dude, the fact that they've kept that fucking secret still is mind blowing.
Yeah.
We're in the end game now, and we still don't know who she is. She hasn't spoiled it in any of the press runs. I haven't even seen her besides the one picture of her, Jacob, Tom, and Zendaya together. That's all I've seen of her in the press run. I haven't seen any videos with her in the fucking press run. She's probably talking about who her character is, and like, we can't release this shit or we're getting it killed.
Dude, can you imagine how big of a fall off it would be in the like people would if it's not Jean Grey at this point, I think the world might explode. I think we're kind of at that point because everybody has convinced themselves, and we talked about this before with leaks and things like that. When you have people who have built up what the movie is going to be in their heads, and if it's not that, you know what I mean? Like, oh.
Yeah, dude, people are gonna riot. Towns are gonna burn down. Like, you think I'm exaggerating, but this is almost like that serious. This is like Knicks winning the championship serious.
Yeah. Dude, and we just saw Tombstone for the first time, finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I,
I'm in the same boat.
so my initial thoughts, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I'm like really looking at him like, hmm,
I'm so used to
hmm.
him being albino, and he really don't look albino to me there. And he's an albino actor, too. That's
Yeah,
the thing. He's
that
albino.
was that was very curious for me. He doesn't look like you say, he doesn't look albino. I don't know. I think he's gonna do great for the character though.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Yeah.
he's a good actor. Everything I've seen him in, like he's been like a bright spot. Like he was in the Halo show. He was a
Mhm.
bright spot in that.
Well, and the other thing,
So
too, I
I
mean,
mean, everything I've seen him.
so I was gonna say his fit looks like he is straight out of Harlem, like an actual gangster. Though he got that shit
Oh
on
yeah,
him, brother. Like, and that, I saw somebody saying that,
yeah,
I just like, hey, you can always put him in some Luke Cage business. Just saying, because we're gonna have him coming back.
yeah. And then I'm going to say this because I'm going to do some homework soon. The most recent Avatar movie just dropped on Disney Plus, so I'm going to watch that. And next week I will have my review on that. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
The fire one? No, I haven't.
You have?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. It just dropped on Disney like maybe this week or last week, so I will be watching that. Um, I know that's a stray away from Marvel and DC like we're usually doing, but it's still fantasy related. So, and we're not just the comic book podcast. We will talk about other things. It's
Yeah.
just that's what happens to be in the news right now. But yeah, so I will be watching Avatar at some point. I will be doing a review on it. If you want to watch it, you can. If you don't want to watch it, that's okay.
We'll see.
Do you want to talk about the homework you've been doing?
What homework? Because I have not watched the Marvels. I'm not even gonna lie to you, brother.
No, I'm not going to talk about I'm talking about the Eyes of Wakanda and the order of everything.
Oh god, dude. So guys, I'm going back and I'm chronologically watching through all of these Marvel projects. And you know, I'm sitting there and I'm watching. I didn't even know the Eyes of Wakanda came out, but it's the first thing that you're supposed to watch chronologically in MCU lore. And I'm immediately like, I don't like the show. I'm sorry. They fucking everything is just weird. I don't know. I don't know how much of a purpose it serves for anything in the MCU because we've never heard about it. I don't even know how many people know that show came out. Like you said you knew. I saw it for the first time reading the article of like in the chronological order that you're supposed to watch it. And I'm just like, what is this? When did this come out? I don't know, man. I feel like they fucked everything up with Black Panther. Okay? Eyes of Wakanda, not good. They canceled the fucking Black Panther and or not canceled, but the Captain America game has been pushed off to God knows how far where we get Black Panther in that game. The second movie was mid at best in the MCU. The first one, Chadwick Boseman, he's great as the character. We love Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. But that didn't even, I mean, it did well, but the second movie was not great. I like Namor in that movie. Shuri was okay, I guess, but it's just like they've not done very well with the Black Panther character in the show or on the show in Eyes of Wakanda. But that's not even about Black Panther. It's about the fucking the guards woman and shit like that. Yeah, the Wakandans. I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Is it Wakandians? Now I feel bad. Because I do appreciate Black Panther as a character.
I do too. I feel like Marvel hasn't done very well, and I think they should have recasted Chadwick Boseman's character. I just think they should have done that. I think they were scared of doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you kind of had to move forward with T'Challa. You really did. Especially at the place and time in the MCU.
And I feel like that's why they pushed his son at the end of the movie. Because I guess the original plans, I did read this, the original plans was for the second Black Panther movie to be like a Chadwick and his son, like teaching his son the ropes of the Black Panther. I guess that was supposed to be the plot of the second one. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that was direct quotes from Ryan Coogler. I believe that's how his name is said. But I don't know if that was direct quotes from him, but I read that somewhere at one point that that was the plans for the second movie and that's why he was included. I think they're trying to establish him as becoming the next Black Panther, but he's just so young. Like you're gonna have to do a huge time jump with the next Black Panther movie unless we get a reset.
You're really big on the reset theory for Doomsday and Secret Wars. You really are. You're kind of bought into that. Yeah.
It's because I've read Secret Wars though. Like I read the original Secret Wars, which nothing really happened catastrophically from that outside of Spider-Man getting. So the original Secret Wars, I'll kind of dive into this. They did that as a thing to sell toys. That was the whole purpose of Marvel doing the original Secret Wars was to sell toys. Now the second there's been a lot of Secret Wars. I believe it was the second one. That was when basically we established the battle world and all that stuff where like incursions are happening. There's a Illuminati tie-in where basically Captain America used to be a part of the Illuminati, but he didn't want to do something. So basically they stripped his entire memory of ever being in the Illuminati because Reed and Tony and, them smart fuckers, they wanted to basically just destroy a single universe to save theirs. And Captain's, we don't sacrifice anybody to save somebody else, essentially. So I know that what ties into Secret Wars is universe incursions, universes getting destroyed, universes being brought together, which is how we got Miles in the main MCU. Well, not MCU, but the main
Comics.
616, because the MCU is actually 1999999. Don't let them try and fool you. They're not the 616.
Yeah.
But that's how Miles got brought in was because of that Secret Wars, because they kind of merge universes, which is I I hope that's what they do because they got to do something. Obviously, with the whole re-releasing Endgame, we've talked about them waving their white flag. Their next step is a reset.
Yeah. And I was mentioning to you, I had sent you a clip from the other podcast that I watch, and they were talking about how Doctor Doom as RDJ would make sense going into Earth 19999, where because Iron Man, Tony Stark is dead in that universe, for him to reappear as Victor Von Doom with Franklin would lead to why the Fantastic Four would be jumping dimensions to go there and be there on that planet to get Franklin back, right? That would make sense. And it would make sense because that iteration of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, he's dead in that universe. It would make sense for him to be there to maybe try and fool people, maybe do some fooling stuff and being like, "Oh, I'm back. I'm Iron
Yeah.
Man." That could make a lot of sense in how that
Well,
plot begins.
I've seen this theory for a long time that like basically the Iron Man that we've seen was never the real Iron Man, that he's been a variant of Doctor Doom this whole time, and that he was never actually like Tony Stark. Like I've seen that theory quite a bit, that he was never Tony Stark on that universe, that he was a variant.
I like that.
I hope to God they don't. I don't like it either. Like, trust me, I've seen it. And I get them trying to use that as a plausible reason to have RGJ playing Doctor Doom. I like the theory you sent me a lot better. Hey, he just died. I look like him. But I'm kind of not buying it because they've established that RDJ really doesn't show his face as Doctor Doom. I think that's kind of been established. And when it is showed, his face is very scarred. And depending on how scarred it is, are you even going to recognize that he's RDJ? So that's where the theory kind of falls through for me. We're going to have to see it first. Obviously, theories are theories. Of the theories I've seen, I definitely like this one. And it's been established. I think they're establishing in this movie that Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom know each other on his universe. So I'm very curious on what that relationship is going to be like. Because obviously, if you have Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic, they're going to have, that relationship. Um, and I'm just going to throw this out there since I have the floor. I really think Pedro Pascal would have been a much, much better Doctor Doom. Like when they were talking about casting the Fantastic Four and I seen him, I'm like, I think he'd be a much better Doctor Doom. That's just my opinion on it. I grew to like him as Mr. Fantastic because his portrayal was very Mr. Fantastic. But yes, oh, that's a good theory. There's been a lot of theories I've seen. Like one of the ones that I find most intriguing so far is that Doctor Doom is trying to find children that are like important, like anchor beings essentially. And that's why Captain America gets brought back in. Obviously, the Fantastic Four get brought in because they just had a child. It's established that Doctor Doom knows that child from the end credit scene. Was it a post credit or end credit scene? It was in the Fantastic Four, but we saw Doctor Doom walking in with Sue and Franklin. So I definitely like the theory that he's trying to round up like anchor being children, essentially. I've been a fan of that theory so far. I don't know how true that holds anymore because I feel like we're getting a lot of Fantastic Four, and I mean not Fantastic Four, a lot of X-Men. I feel
Yeah.
like Doomsday is essentially going to be an X-Men movie, but like I said, we really don't know. They haven't gave us much plot other than Fantastic Four are in the MCU 616. We know that much. We know they're at Wakanda. There could be a lot of reasons for that. We do know Wakanda is one of the most scientifically advanced nation in the MCU right now that we know of.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for Doomsday, even though we have very little information. I'm excited for it because I love the X-Men. I love that they're getting integrated into MCU because Fox hasn't done jack shit with the X-Men. Fuck you, Fox. Um, you know, we could potentially get some more Toby as Spider-Man, which would be very nice to see. A final, like a swan song, essentially. I know it's not confirmed yet, but there's a potential for it to happen.
No, I'm making the face
Mm.
because I've seen leaks or people saying, rumoring that he has the Iron Spider fucking suit, and it pisses me off. I don't want him to have the Iron Spider suit.
What?
The ultimate Iron Spider from the comics. People have been saying that. I've seen it a lot. And I don't want him to have the Iron Spider suit because he has the best Spider-Man
So,
suit. Ah.
Here's what I'm going to
Except for
say.
Tasm. Except for
The
Tasm.
Iron Spider, the Iron Spider costume was actually, when it came out, it was one of my favorite Spider-Man costumes. It's like, I love that costume to death. Like the
It's
Scarlet
cool.
Spider and the Iron Spider costumes, I love to death. So I definitely get why you're frustrated about it. Also, it doesn't make sense. Why would he have that costume? We've never established anything like that in Toby's movies.
Well, first of all, if he's in Doomsday, it doesn't fucking matter what any of his movies have done because it has nothing to do with those movies. If you're taking
That's,
Toby or Andrew
that's
or
fair.
anybody else, the same way, RDJ is going to be Doctor Doom. Chris Evans, as far as we know, is Captain America, and he doesn't have his suit, so what the fuck? We don't know. It's gonna be him and Sam Wilson
Yeah,
fighting
like I
beside
said,
one another. I don't know. We don't even have a trailer. The fact that we don't have a trailer is wild to me. But we said the same thing about Spider-Man. But they have
the-
the motion. They have the motion to do it now, so they're doing it. And it's pissing me off.
yeah. It's funny because technically we do have trailers, and all it is Thor saying a prayer to Odin, Fantastic Four on Wakanda, and Steve holding his baby.
It's fucking
And they're like, "Yep, that's
stupid.
enough." But they dropped all those like hidden messages in the like trailers though for people to decipher, which I love that the Russos do that, but I'm also like, "Fuck you guys! I'm not taking time to decipher that split fucking second that I have to pause and find."
The only thing I want to see, I just want to see. I don't give a fuck about the X-Men. You know what? Fuck them. I just want to see Doom, goddammit. I want to see Doom in the trailer. No. I know. We already know that all the X-Men are there. We know they're good. We've seen Cyclops go, ah, and scream. We know. Okay, cool. I want to see Doom. I want to see the fit, bruh. I want to see how he looks. That's what I want. Doom is so cool. Okay?
He is. I think we're going to get a very cool Doctor Doom costume compared to what we've had. I have I have faith in Marvel to at least get that right. Now, what I'm concerned about is how much RDJ's face are we going to get? Like, I really hope it's the bare minimum. And from the leaks, I'll say rumors. I don't know if they're leaks or not, but from the rumors that I've heard, it's not going to be a lot of RDJ's face. So, but I also seen the other rumor that I sent that to you that Doctor Doom only appears in the second half of the movie. And I just feel like that's not a good idea.
That's what I when you
Like,
told me that, I said that this should be much like what Thanos was, where it was a Thanos movie for Infinity War. Doom should be the main character of Doomsday. He is that big of a character, that big of a villain, or sometimes not a villain, just whatever, but that big of a character that he needs to have spotlight and time because you're taking all the X-Men and putting them into this movie. You're taking all the MCU and all of these characters and everybody's combined. Doom has to be the focus of this story because you have too many other elements going on.
yeah,
From the leaks, quote unquote, we've seen the fucking Sentinels. We've seen Doom potentially controlling the Sentinels that have been destroyed. We're seeing the X-Men go into this war with these other characters. God knows what we have going on here with those quote, like, leaks, whether it's AI bullshit or not.
yeah,
But that being said, if you don't focus the story on Doom and establishing him in Latveria and why he's doing the things that he's doing, because we already know that Latveria exists even in 19999 or whatever the fuck, because they brought it up before. It's been mentioned before that Latveria is a place that
yep,
exists. So you have to establish Doctor Doom, man. You have to do it. And
yeah.
he can't just be
And
in the
another,
second part. Sorry.
and another, it was a rumor I think I sent it today, but man, are they really gonna make Hulk the sacrificial bitch lamb
You
again?
did say that.
We
I don't
really
think they
gonna do
will.
this shit again?
I don't think so.
I
And
hope they don't, but at the same time, it's fitting
well,
for the MCU to do that to the Hulk.
we know as of the Spider-Man trailer and that happening, that this version of the Hulk is about to go fucking regular back to rage mode, the biggest, baddest Hulk type of deal, Incredible Hulk type of character. I would be very shocked if they then went into, because that was, you want to talk about people complaining about Endgame. Hulk had the worst complaints for Infinity War and Endgame. Because they destroyed the character. They destroyed what the Hulk is, what people love about the Hulk. They took it all away. They took everything away from the character. And now they are finally waving the white flag and giving it back. They're finally waving their white flag on Hulk. I would be absolutely mortified if they used him as a sacrificial lamb again. I just can't see them doing it.
I would too. Like, no, like, I get it. You want to establish your villain is strong, but do we have to do that to Hulk again?
God, fucking Smart Hulk and Smart Hulk was She-Hulk, and then the Rage Hulk getting his ass whooped by Thanos and being too much of a pussy to come out of fucking hiding. What are we doing, Marvel? But I think they're gonna fix it. I think they're gonna correct it because this is gonna be the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. It's just gonna have to be, okay? It's gonna be Toby 2 levels of Spider-Man-age, okay? That's what we have to believe, and we have to believe that they're gonna do well by Hulk 2, okay? We just have to do it. That's how I feel about it, though. I don't think they'll make him the sacrificial lamb. If anything, they'll take in a pre-existing... You know who would be a good one for it? Is Thor.
Century.
Thor needs to go, bro. We've had too much Chris Hemsworth. But he's up there in that power level. And also, too, Ragnarok was good, and then Love and Thunder fucking sucked dick. He's one of the main three, the big three they talk about in the MCU that we haven't gotten rid of yet or used in some capacity like that. It would make a lot of sense that if you want to establish the power of Doom, that he takes out someone like that. If you really need to establish it instead of just his aura alone, because Doom has unbelievable aura. That's just what the character is. That's what I would say. That would be my recommendation. But you can't do that to Hulk again, man. You just can't, because people are going to fucking lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to Hulk out. I can't. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Unless you got anything.
No, I think I've hulked out enough for the last 5-10 minutes of this. I've yapped a lot on this podcast between me seeing Supergirl alone and this and that. I've been yapping. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching this episode of the Abnormal Pictures podcast. We appreciate everybody for coming out. Please check in the links in the description if you want to see me rant on Twitter or potentially Facebook. Both of those will be linked in the description. Like, subscribe every Tuesday. We're here at 9 in the morning, even though we record on Sundays. Because that's when Christian has time. All right. See everybody later.